Most people think they know the Roman Empire. Great emperors, massive armies, marble cities. But what if I told you Rome didn't fall because of barbarians, or one bad emperor, or even war? What if Rome collapsed because of things happening quietly, while people thought everything was fine? At its height, Rome ruled over 70 million people, nearly 1/3 of the world's population. Roads stretched thousands of miles. Fresh water flowed into cities through aqueducts. Law, trade, and order connected continents. For ordinary Romans, it felt like the empire would last forever. And that belief, that Rome was eternal, was its most dangerous illusion. Here's something most people don't know. The average Roman citizen never saw the empire as fragile. In fact, many lived better lives right before collapse than their grandparents ever did. Free grain, public baths, entertainment, and festivals kept people comfortable and distracted. Rome didn't fall suddenly. It decayed slowly, like a body poisoned over generations. One of the most overlooked causes was lead. Romans used lead everywhere. Water pipes, cooking pots, wine containers, even cosmetics. Roman wine was often boiled in lead vessels to sweeten it. Over time, this caused chronic lead poisoning, especially among the elite. Lead damages the brain. It causes infertility, mood swings, poor judgment, and aggression. Now, think about this. The people making Rome's biggest decisions, emperors, generals, senators, were likely suffering from low-level lead poisoning. History records emperors who were paranoid, impulsive, violent, and unstable. We call them mad emperors. But what if many weren't insane? What if they were slowly poisoned, and while leadership weakened, something else happened? Rome stopped being built by Romans. By the later centuries, the army, once disciplined, loyal, and Roman, was filled with mercenaries, foreign soldiers fighting not for Rome, but for pay. Loyalty shifted from empire to paycheck. Rome still looked powerful, but its foundation was hollow. Taxes rose to fund wars and luxuries. Small farmers were crushed. Wealth concentrated in the hands of a few elites. The middle class, the backbone of stability, began to vanish. Sound familiar? And then came inflation. Roman coins were quietly diluted. Less silver, more cheap metal. People noticed. Trust in money collapsed. Prices soared. Trade slowed. Rome didn't collapse because enemies breached the walls. The walls were already rotting from the inside. But the most shocking truth? Many Romans didn't realize they were living through the fall, because Rome didn't end in fire. It ended in silence. And that silence grew louder in the second half of the story.
By the time people understood something was wrong, it was already too late. Here was a fact rarely mentioned. When Rome was officially declared fallen in 476 AD, most citizens didn't even notice. No dramatic last battle, no final speech, no moment that felt like the end of the world. One emperor was simply replaced, and life went on. That's the terrifying part. Rome didn't collapse like a building. It faded like a memory. Cities emptied, roads cracked, aqueducts stopped being repaired. Literacy declined. Knowledge was lost, not burned, but forgotten. For centuries, people lived among Roman ruins without knowing how to recreate them. And here is something almost no one talks about. The fall of Rome didn't just destroy a government. It reset human progress. Concrete formulas were lost. Engineering techniques disappeared. Economic networks vanished. Europe entered centuries of decline, while people lived literally inside the bones of a dead civilization. Now, think about this carefully. Rome had warning signs for generations: political corruption, extreme inequality, distrust in institutions, reliance on entertainment to pacify the public, a belief that Rome will always survive. Even when invaders came, Romans didn't see them as existential threats. Barbarians had crossed borders before. Rome always recovered, until it didn't. The greatest lesson Rome teaches us isn't about power. It's about denial. Empires don't fall when they're attacked. They fall when their people stop believing they can fail. Rome thought it was eternal. History proved otherwise. And here's the most uncomfortable truth of all. When future civilizations study our time, they may not ask, "How did it happen?" They'll ask, "Why didn't they see it coming?" When the signs were everywhere? Because the fall of Rome isn't ancient history. It's a warning. And warnings are only useful if someone is willing to listen.